Hello friends, welcome back to the Python programming session. In the earlier session, we had looked into classes and objects. And in this session, let's look into class attributes and instance attributes. So friends, what are class attributes and what are instance attributes? And what is the difference between a class attribute and an instance attribute? Attributes are nothing but properties or variables which are defined in the class. So what is a class attribute? So the attributes which are created within the class but outside the init method are called the class attributes. And the class attributes are same for all the objects created for that particular class. So what is an instance attribute? They are created within the init method. And these attributes are called as instance attributes. And the instance attribute changes for each object of the class. So now let's look into one of the example called class student. Student is the class name and class is the keyword. So I'm defining a class by name student. And we have one variable called school which is equal to Kendriya. So before that, let's see how it works. Kendriya is a school which has got 3 students. It has got n number of students, but I'm taking an example of 3 students over here. So Kendriya is common to all the 3 students. It is the same for all the 3 students, and the student ID for each of the student varies, and the student name also varies for each of the student. So Kendriya can be declared as a class attribute because it is common for all the students. We can create it as a class attribute. So it comes within the class but outside the init method. So school equal to Kendriya becomes the class attribute. And now within my init method, self is the first parameter. Then comes the student ID and then the student name. So self.student ID equal to student ID, self.student name equal to student name. After creating the class, now if I want to create objects for this particular class, then I can say C1 equal to student and I can pass the parameters which is 111 and then ram. So when we create an object, the init method will be the first method which gets called and it initializes the instance attributes. So student ID will now be equal to 111 and student name will now be equal to Ram. So when I say C1.studentID, it will print 111, and if I say print C1.studentName, it will print Ram. And similarly, if I say print student.school, that is the class name .school, then Kendriya will get printed. And if I say C1, the object name .school, even in that case Kendriya will get printed. So the class attributes can be accessed in 2 ways. One way is with the school name, with the class name, that is student, and the second one is with the object name, that is C1. So let's look into it more in detail. So here I am having a class called student, and now I am declaring a class attribute, that is school. School is a class attribute which is equal to Kendriya. And now let me define my init method, which is having self as the first parameter, student ID and then student name. Now self.student ID will be equal to this particular student ID, and self.student name equal to student name. So now let me create an object for this particular class called C1. equal to student, that is the class name. We have to create an object with the constructor of the class, and I am passing 111 comma Ram. And now if I say print C1 dot student ID and run the code, I get the value 111 because for C1 the student ID is 111. Similarly, if I say print C1 dot student name, then Ram gets printed on the console. Now, if I want to print the school name, that is Kendriya, it can be done in two ways. The first way is print class name, that is student dot school. So now when I run it, I get Kendriya. And now the same school name can be printed with the help of the object name, that is C1. C1 dot school. Again I get Kendriya. So basically the instance attributes, that is student ID and student name, can be created only with the object name, whereas the class attributes can be accessed with the help of student, that is the class name, and also with the help of object name, that is C1. So this is the difference between instance attributes and the class attributes. Now in my next code, let me say I want to change the student ID of C1 from 111 to 555. So I can give it as C1 dot student ID equal to 555. Now if I say print C1 dot student ID, first let me run this, and then if I run this, sorry, it should be capital C, I get the ID 555. So the ID has been changed from 111 to 555. And similarly, if I want to change the student name, I can give it as C1 dot student name equal to Sam. So the name changes from Ram to Sam. Now if I want to change the school name, how can it be done? It can be done with the help of the class name, that is student dot school equal to Vidyalaya. Now if I say print student dot school, it prints Vidyalaya. So earlier the school was Kendriya, and now I've changed the class attribute to Vidyalaya, and when I print that particular attribute, Vidyalaya will be in effect and Kendriya would be, it would override Kendriya with Vidyalaya. Now let me create my C2 object, C2 equal to 222, that is the student ID, and then Shyam, that is the name. Now if I say C2 dot, now if I say print C2 dot student ID comma C2 dot student name comma C2 dot school, that is the class attribute. Now if I print all these three values, I should pass it as student, and then parameter is 222 Ram. So it prints 222 as the student ID, Sham as the student name, and Vidyalaya as the school. So from Kendriya it has changed to Vidyalaya now, because we changed the class attribute with the help of, we changed the class class attribute with the help of student name dot school to Vidyalaya. So whatever objects we are creating afterwards, after the change in the school, it will have the newly created school name and not the old school name. So hope so friends, it is clear for you how to create class attributes and instance attributes, and how to modify the class attributes and the instance attributes. Hope so friends, it is clear for you. If you have any doubts, please do reach to me out in the comment section. If you like my video, click on the like button and please do subscribe to get notifications of my new videos. Till then, see you. Bye bye.